Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I got another episode of The Naked Gun. This is a video series where I choose a weapon, I use absolutely no attachments, hence the Naked Gun title, and then I let you guys know why I liked or why I disliked the weapon with its bare bone essentials. And for today, I'm going to be trying out the ACW-R. Since the Armored Kill DLC has been out for a while now, I've noticed that a lot of people have been using this weapon for the engineer class, and since there are a lot of engineers out there on the battlefield because there's so many vehicles, you see and you get killed by this weapon quite frequently. So I wanted to see what all the buzz was about. I never really liked it when the Close Quarter DLC came out. I thought it was kind of lacking, but I wanted to give it another shot, so I figured, you know, what better way to test it out than with the Naked Gun series. So this weapon probably has the most consistent damage model out of all the weapons in Battlefield 3. It's going to do 20 damage up close, and at minimum, its minimum damage is 16.7, so there really isn't a whole lot of deviation there. And what this means for the player is that you're either going to have to use 5 bullets or 6 bullets to take out your target, and that's very consistent. Pretty much for me, I would always go for that 6 shot, because even if they were 12 meters out, it would require me that 1 extra bullet, and I was absolutely fine with that because I knew exactly when the target was going to die. You know, in pretty much every engagement, actually in every engagement, as long as I got 6 bullets into the target, they would fall, and I really do like that type of consistency when I'm using a weapon. Being able to switch from one target to the next, knowing exactly when they're going to die, is a pretty thrilling and exciting thing about a weapon, and that's something I really appreciated about the ACW-R. But some of you out there might be thinking, well, hey, 6 bullets to take out a target at 15 meters kind of seems like a huge disadvantage, and it doesn't have a whole lot of killing potential up close. And while I do agree with you to some extent, its killing potential up close is kind of lacking, at least in the damage department, I feel like it more than makes up for it with its RPM. It has the second fastest rounds per minute, clocking in at 850, so while it is going to require you to get a little bit more bullets into your enemy compared to something like the AKS or the M4A1, it's going to get into the they're going to fly into the enemy extremely quickly, and you're going to drop them pretty much just as fast because it does have such a fast rounds per minute. Another great thing about the ACW-R is that it has a very fast reload time. If you have a bullet in the chamber, it's going to take you 1.85 seconds to reload, but if you've gone through all of your ammunition, it's going to take you 2.5 seconds, and this is pretty much identical to the very popular M4A1. Really, the only difference is that the M4A1 has a ever so slightly faster reload time if you've gone through all of your ammunition, pretty much to the point where you're never going to notice the difference. So if you like the fast reload time of a weapon, then the ACW-R has that in spades. Really, the only downside of it, though, is that it does have a lower magazine size. You only have 27 bullets in the magazine, so going through your entire magazine with a very high RPM is very likely. So as long as you can manage it, it's a little bit harder to manage, but as long as you manage it, you're going to have a very fast reload time as long as you have a bullet in the chamber. But moving on to its recoil, and arguably the most important thing about a weapon, I was kind of surprised when I looked at the weapon's statistics that its recoil is actually one of the lowest out of all of the engineer weapons, and pretty much out of all of the weapons in the game. I was expecting, because it does have such a high RPM, that its recoil numbers would be quite high, but in actuality, they're quite low, and this came as a surprise to me. Really, the only thing you're going to have to worry about is that its initial recoil, or for that first shot, is quite substantial. But I found as long as I was able to compensate for that and went for more long bursts, so I didn't have to constantly tap fire and deal with that initial recoil, staying on target for those long bursts was extremely easy. Going for medium range engagements, I had no problem staying on target, and the recoil is pretty phenomenal. So as long as you are able to compensate for that initial recoil and you're not tap firing all the time, staying on target and managing the ACW-R's recoil is extremely easy and a lot of fun to use. As for its iron sights, as you can see, they're kind of terrible, and when I first started using this weapon for the Naked Gun series, I thought that it was going to be a very painful experience. I didn't think I was going to get any footage for today's episode, but after using it a couple of rounds, I started to get acclimated to it. I started to get used to its iron sights, and I have to say, even going for medium to long range engagements, I didn't really have a whole lot of trouble staying on target, and that can probably be attributed to its recoil, because its recoil is so manageable even at long range. Staying on target, even with a pretty terrible iron sights, it still worked, and I was able to take them out. So while I would not recommend you use them, if you are looking for a fun experience, you're looking for something a little bit different, then try out the iron sights. It might be a little painful at first, but as long as you get used to the weapon's recoil, you're gonna have fun with it. So now that you guys hopefully have a better understanding of the weapon statistics, you might be wondering, well, how do I use this weapon effectively? And for me, I got the most use out of it when I played the medium game. While you can still do very well up close, the high RPM allows you to take out targets, very quickly up close and personal, but when you go against someone who's using the AEK or the FAMAS with, very fast RPM, faster than even the ACW-R, and also has a higher damage model up close, you're probably gonna get blown out of the water unless you got a nice flank off. But because the weapon is so consistent and the damage really doesn't drop off very much, and it only takes 6 bullet to take any target out at any range, it's going to do better and better the further the target is out. So I found the best way for me to get the most bang for my buck, whatever you want to call it, is to play at the medium game. That's really where this weapon excels, and if you can make sure that all of your engagements are kind of in that range, you are going to have a lot of success with this weapon. As for some helpful attachments, I definitely would recommend using some sort of scope. Even though I just said that the iron sights aren't the worst in the game, I still would recommend using the Cobra sight. You're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. It's going to be a lot easier to stay on target, and you're going to get a lot of more enjoyment out of the weapon. Other than that, though, it's really going to be up to you which attachments you want to try out, but I would stray away from using the heavy barrel attachment because this weapon is already very consistent. Slapping on the heavy barrel really isn't going to give you much of a benefit at all, and really it's just going to increase your vertical recoil and make you, it's going to make it harder to stay on target. So I would stay away from that particular attachment, and I also really wouldn't use the foregrip. This weapon really doesn't have a lot of horizontal recoil, and it's just going to make you less accurate at long range, so I would also just stay away from that one as well. But really everything else is kind of fair game. But that's it for today's Naked Gun. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, or just want to support my channel, it always puts a smile on my face when you give my videos a rating, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more. But until next time, guys, have a good one and take it easy.